When you try to control the uncontrollable, you become very acutely aware of your powerlessness. If you still persist, you realize that what you are trying to control is not a person or a situation, it is God Himself. But you won't give up so soon. Old habits die hard, they say. The ego wants to continue. In giving up, it cannot exist. The peace within you wants to give up, but the ego wants to continue. You may have to watch that game for years before finally being liberated from it. Holding on to the ego is like hanging by a pole or a rope. How long can you hold on? The fate of every ego is the same. It is sublimation. You can only postpone it. You cannot avoid it. It is not that I am making a surrender and someone else won't have to. We will all have to, someday or the other. I simply want to get over with it as soon as possible, because I am as interested in liberating others as I am in liberating myself. We are all children of God, and trusting in the compassion of our parent ought to be as natural as the rising of the sun from the east. And it is as long as we are innocent kids. Then we grow up and the world pulls us down from that space of unconditional love and unwavering faith. We are pulled down and educated in all kinds of things that belong to a lower level of consciousness. A surrender can be recovering a lost childhood and coming back to the home of innocence. Innocence is our basic nature. Cleverness is a perversion, an abnormality. Just take a quick look at nature around you. The trees, the flowers, the grass, the birds, they are all innocent. They all trust God and are therefore taken care of. They are not demanding and fearful like us. They don't know anything about anxiety and uncertainty. These emotions are products of man's infidelity. We believe in God only as much as we believe in ghosts. By surrendering to our source, we can become kids again and enjoy the warmth of God's lap. Another aspect of life that has the potential of totally disarming the ego and making us surrender is death. I always felt the sword of death hanging over my head subconsciously. But since a few years, I have become possessed by this bitter truth. Somehow, I find it useless going ahead without having done something about this inevitable. I often imagine myself somewhere in the space far away from this planet, looking back at my own funeral, and was really astonished to know that Dr. Wayne Dyer had used the same meditation years ago. That technique gives me a chance to prepare for that moment far in advance, and also to transcend it by dying while I am alive. If everything is going to be taken away from me one day, and God is going to tell me, come on, let's go, then there is no point in clinging to any of it, up to and including this body of mine. I ought to separate myself from all of it as soon as possible, so that when God says, let's go, I can smile and reply, I'm ready. When I think about my death and the returning of my soul to its source, I'm very close to a surrender. I'm left with no other alternative than to leave everything in the hands of God. There is a feeling of helplessness, and there is a feeling of release. I feel vulnerable and also feel freed of responsibility at the same time. The inclusion of death in the planning of your life can change the whole quality of your deeds, your karma. You won't worry over an electricity bill or the price of petrol anymore. You will find yourself less attached to friendships as well as enmities. You will feel like you are a guest on this planet and less concerned with how others treat you. You will realize that your karma are in parallel to the karma of others, not entangled with them. The wisdom of death will bring your wisdom closer to reality and make it more complete. Surrender is nothing but dying while you are alive. It's a great opportunity to free your soul from the agony of death once and for all. Acharya Rajneesh says, once you have died consciously, you will never have to die again. You will never feel that your soul is being ripped out of your body and you are being split into two. You shall never have to live that hell again. In fact, it's the last pain of a spiritual journey. And your whole journey was to prepare you for this final test of the soul. If your soul passes this test, it has graduated and can walk around the university with pride. An ordinary man is walking towards death with every passing day, whereas an enlightened one has already died and carries it with his luggage. Once you have witnessed the whole process of death with total consciousness, it does not scare you anymore. Now the only pain that remains is that you will still have to watch your near and dear ones going through that suffering, and your bliss will be a localized one. Otherwise, you have done it. If you happen to be the devotee of a living enlightened master, whatever I have said so far for God shall hold true for your master. The way you need to surrender to God is exactly the way you need to surrender to your master. I really have great respect for the love and compassion that Shri Ram Das has for his master. All of us ought to be that faithful to those who have pulled us out of our hells. Only they know how much pains they took to help us out and how much they went out of the way to do so. You will realize this when you do for someone what was done for you. It is just like parenting. We often realize how much effort must have gone into our upbringing only when we have kids of our own. The master is like a parent and the devotees are like his kids, and there is nothing more meaningful on earth than the relationship between these two. This is in fact the essence of religion, and believe me, it's a world totally different from the world we all live in. The difference between the two is like the difference between a real rose and a rose made up of plastic. Surrendering to your master would imply simply doing as he tells you to and not bringing your mind and its reasoning into it. The mind of a devotee is not capable of comprehending the compassion of a master. Devotion is the path of the heart, and the heart never goes by reasoning. It goes by intuition. If you can trust your heart and discard your mind, you can be a great devotee. Dr. Wayne often quotes a line by the Persian poet Rumi that says, "Sell your cleverness and purchase bewilderment." There is wisdom of the highest order in those words. Every master would wish to say that to his devotees. We often get caught up in our intelligence and are unable to sit near a master with a heart that can resonate to his compassion. A surrender means silencing the mind and encouraging the heart. It also means jumping into the unknown at the call of your master and leaving your fate in his hands. It can save you a lot of unnecessary meandering. With these words, I would like to stop because I feel I have said enough for now. Thank you for being with me all along. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. If you can help me in any way, you are most welcome. Have a nice journey. God bless us all. Charanjit Singh.